Now, I want to end these chapters with some do's and some don'ts. Let's start off with the don'ts and make sure that your track is not too loud. Pushing it too loud is really going to result in a poor quality of your song. It is going to overdrive and oversaturate some of your elements. It's not going to sound just great. Unless you're really knowing what you're doing or using it as an analog effect, it will always harm your mix. Another thing and another don't is when you push your master too loud or you push your kick too loud because you want it to dominate your song, it will always result in less of punch in your kick drum, which you don't want. So make sure if you want to have your kick stand out, you lower all the volume of your other instruments. You make space by using some sidechain effects. Creating space for the kick drum is always a better solution than just pushing the volume on your kick drum. The last don't of the list comes from a really interesting place because you sometimes might be fooled by the volume of the songs that you're comparing your track with. Sometimes you're thinking, oh wait, this song sounds so much fatter, but actually in fact it's just louder. And sometimes a louder mix does not necessarily have to be a better mix. So a good idea would be to take your reference track, putting it actually on the same volume as your track. And that sometimes means that you're going to have to lower the volume of the reference track and then compare the mix. And you might as well end up with a conclusion that your track sounds better. It is just not that loud. Now, working on the loudness is something that we're going to do later on in the process. And I wanted to sum up some of these do's. So what do you actually do along the process? Well, you really want to compare your mix to other tracks. It's really a good idea to have a form of a reference, what's going on in other songs, knowing how to apply it to your song. Take your favorite songs and see how, what the reason is they're sounding so good, or what is the reason that you like the songs next to the composition. What do you like about the techniques they're using? Do you like the sidechain? Do you like, the way that the vocals are being processed? Take those things, maybe write them down as feedback and try to apply it to your song. So another good idea and a definitely do is check your mix in mono. You never know where you're going to end up. Maybe you're playing in a bar where they have a mono setup and then half of your track is going to disappear when you don't compare it and check it in mono. So do that. And if you feel like important elements are starting to miss out in your mix, make sure you check the phasing or some of these widening plugins, the widener, the sample delay, the stereo wideners. All of these plugins can harm your mix as much as they can do good. So balance it out, check it out in mono, and see how it will operate in your mix. The last thing I want to tell you guys, if you're playing your tracks out live on stage, maybe in a DJ set or on a festival, it's always a good idea to just name your track, for example, V1, and after the set that you have played and tested out your mix, write down the notes right away after your set, because you might be back in the studio and you forgot what you had to change from the production side of the song. So after your performance, write down some of your feedback or text it to your friends. Maybe the way that I do it, I sometimes sum things up for myself, put it in a message to one of my friends or to people at the studio here. And sometimes I'm in a position where I'm constantly traveling and I ask one of my friends here working at the studio to do it for me. So they just go to my projects, make some of these changes and send the master back to me. Lucky me.